I am not a huge fan of Bully Ray because I do feel like he is a bully. Mm-hmm. And I think he is going to play that up even more so. I think that's going to be his gimmick for this show. I do feel like it can be a bit overdone. Like there's that scene where with BJ's where he goes to shake his hand. Like everyone is told to do this, mind you. You see a legend in wrestling, you go up to them and you introduce yourself and you shake your hand. And he goes to do that. Bully Ray completely ignores him. And he is bothered by it, which I think is totally understandable because I just think that's so rude, first of all. Second of all, I think it's unnecessary. Like, you came into this place to get to know us and you can introduce yourself to us. Like, there's levels to it. Like, Bully Ray was like, oh, I don't want to get too familiar with people in the company. She's like, shut up. It ain't that deep, bro. Like, welcome, everyone, to 6HM Production. I am Queen PR, and this is Brian H. Waters, and we are back with a very exciting episode talking about Superstar Sunday, WWE on A&E.
We are what?
What
Nothing. Go ahead.
See, you fucked me up.
I said we are back. We've been here.
Go ahead, do your thing.
You did it.
Do your thing.
Keep it going.
No, you can start.
The people are waiting.
No, that's why I'm kicking it. I'm kicking it right off to you. I'm kicking it right off to you.
So what are we doing today?
We are talking about the debut of this season's Superstar Sunday lineup on A&E. We have a new show. We have two new shows.
Just got finished watching them.
Yes. So we have LFG, Legends and Future Greats.
Yeah.
New competition show. Then we have, what is it?
So
most memorable moments or something?
Raw moments of the 90s.
Yes.
But yeah, it is memorable moments. You're right. But this one first.
So it's a countdown show, I think, for the more casual wrestling fans. And then Rivals has come back.
Yes.
Yeah. What should we start off with? LFG?
Legends of Future Greats. Well, one of the things I liked about the show is, and I was excited about it, is the reality portion. I watched Tough Enough later. Didn't watch all the episodes. I think when the first Tough Enough premiered, we had just got cable. So I remember, like, I like watched it, but then at that time, well, I should say satellite, and we only had one dish. And I told this story before. My reservation days was Monday nights. So anything else was kind of a bonus because, you know, it's in my parents' room. My sister probably reserved some night where she could watch like BET or something. So I didn't watch Tough Enough that much, but I kind of like, you know, I knew about Maven and all. Shout out to him. You've seen his YouTube content.
Yeah, blowing up.
Also, with sidebar, did you see his conversation with Perry Saturn?
No.
It was very interesting because they had like this heart to heart, like, hey, you know, Saturn's like, you know, I was hard on you because I wanted you to respect the business. So it was like, he's like, you know, I was trying to get to this guy because I could never win him over. He's I won over everybody else, but I could never win over Perry Saturn. Yeah, I'm listening to you. Perry Saturn look different. But he's a grandfather now.
Wow.
The guy who played with Moppy is a granddad.
Wow. It also just shows you how the wrestling business has changed over the years because now WWE has built a facility for people like Maven to transition into the business, where before it was so it was like, no, you're not, if you don't love the business, no, you gotta get out of here. So I just had to mention that because that was very common for even like Mr. T, you know, being an actor coming into wrestling, having it hard and the wrestlers giving them a hard time. And now just it's welcomed and there's so many different types of wrestlers now. So that's actually really interesting. I'm going to check that conversation out.
Yeah, I'm going to show it to you when we finish. But one of the things that was interesting about LFG is that I was interested in seeing is watching how the legends would interact with the future greats.
For sure.
You think about what we do, right? Now you imagine you and I sitting right here and on the other side of the camera is
Renee Paquette or something.
Oh, I was gonna say Jim Ross and Robin Roberts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're sitting up here just being us, but they're sitting up
observing and
said, no, give me more, or this is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was interesting.
Yeah. So should we outline sort of what the show is?
Yeah. Go ahead. This is what you do.
So you got Mickey James, Bully Ray, Booker T,
Yes.
and
The Undertaker.
The Undertaker. And they go to the Performance Center and they are able to observe everyone that is signed for developmental. So there's wrestlers there that have been in the Performance Center for 2 months, all the way to like 2 years and more.
Yeah.
Then you get to observe them wrestling. They observe them doing promos, and then they have to come in to the ring and do a promo in front of these legends and greats, and they get feedback. So you get to kind of get that panel of judges vibe as well. You get to learn a lot of the wrestlers that are at the Performance Center, a lot of different types of people coming from all different backgrounds. And then at the end of that, I don't want to give too much away because I want to hear what you guys think of the show. A superstar is matched with a coach.
Yeah.
And that coach being either Mickey James, Bully Ray, Booker T, or The Undertaker. And then whoever I think wins the end of the season gets an NXT contract.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big deal. You know, being signed to developmental is one thing, but to get an NXT contract is a big deal. Like, and we talk about it all the time where NXT may not be the main roster, but it's still weekly television. Thing, it's huge.
It's like, take it tough enough, but getting rid of the gimmicks.
Yes.
Because you're not staying in the house. You're not seeing the day-to-day. You know, the last... I want to watch the last season of Tough Enough with you.
I would like to do that.
And the reason why is because this is the one where we would know more. Chelsea Greens, Daria, who formerly known as Sonya Deville, Amanda, formerly known as Mandy Rose, Patrick Clark. And I would love to sit down and like, let's look at this up. Like, let's just watch this season. I don't want to go through the whole series, but maybe we'll do a review of it. But what's interesting is like some of the dumb shit they had them doing, where this is like, okay, drills, wrestling, promos. I'm pretty sure they're going to have like some weightlifting or stuff like that.
For sure.
But it's all seemed like it's all based in the Performance Center. And from episode 1, man, they came out hot and heavy.
They did.
You know, they came out hot and heavy.
They really did. And it got to a point where as we were watching the episode, they were able to fit so much in that we were like, wait, this is all in the first episode. You get to see from the legends' point of view and what they want to bring to the competition or give to their whoever's going to be on their team. Yeah. Then you see it from like even Shawn Michaels is there, and you hear, because those are, I like to call them his babies in the Performance Center. And then you get to hear from these prospective wrestlers that, you know, they want it just as bad. And I love seeing that because you get like people from college coming in, former gymnasts, gold medalists, actresses. Like, you really get to see who is down there in the Performance Center, who is the future of WWE. I have had such mixed feelings when it came to these competition shows, the NIL program, because I am in a way like Perry Saturn, where I'm like, I want the wrestling business to be filled with people that love wrestling, that lived and breathed it their entire lives. You know, I look at Mercedes Moné as who I think deserves to be in wrestling, someone who grew up and is like, oh my God, this is the only thing I ever want to do. I'm going to dedicate my entire life to doing this. That's what I picture as the quintessential WWE, the next WWE superstar. But now there's so many different avenues to get to WWE, and this is the show that shows that. Yes. And that is what I'm very excited for. I'm also very excited for to hear what kind of advice these legends are going to continue to give these new stars. Like, imagine, and everyone comes from such a different place. Like, The Undertaker's advice is not going to be the same as Mickey James' advice, and Mickey James' advice is going to be the same as Booker T's and Bully Ray. They all came from different backgrounds, and all have so much to offer.
I think that's the thing that's key. You said right there, they all are coming from different backgrounds, and obviously a Mickey James is going to connect differently with a women's wrestler, but then she can also connect differently from a men's wrestler because of her husband. And she can, you know, kind of tell that man who, okay, I've been with somebody who was on the NWA, who was overseas, who had that European style, that, you know. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But I know one thing people want to know what we think about is Bully Ray and his interaction with BJ.
So I am not a huge fan of Bully Ray because I do feel like he is a bully. And I think he is going to play that up even more so. I think that's going to be his gimmick for this show. I do feel like it can be a bit overdone. Like there's that scene where with BJ's where he goes to shake his hand. Like everyone is told to do this, mind you. You see a legend in wrestling, you go up to them and you introduce yourself and you shake your hand. And he goes to do that. Bully Ray completely ignores him. And he is bothered by it, which I think is totally understandable because I just think that's so rude, first of all. Second of all, I think it's unnecessary. Like, you came into this place to get to know us and you can introduce yourself to us. Like, there's levels to it. Like, Bully Ray was like, oh, I don't want to get too familiar with people in the company. She's like, shut up. It ain't that deep, bro. Like, bro, you can introduce yourself to someone. You can shake someone's hand. You know what I'm saying? And I do feel like he's also going to be particularly harsh and harder on these wrestlers. I think he's going to be like the bad guy, and I don't think it's necessary.
That's the thing. I don't think it's necessary. Especially, I'm sorry, but when you look at that list, right? By far, the most accomplished is Undertaker, and no offense, it's not even close. Like, you can make an argument. No, you really can't. I was going to say, you can make an argument that maybe Booker T and Bully Ray are a little bit closer. They're closer than anybody is to The Undertaker. Right. But Booker T is still here. Yeah, Bully Ray is a tag team. Okay, duh, we know, most decorated tag team of all time. But Booker T as a single star tag team legend, and what he did for the culture, and in broadcasting, it's just not even close. But it's like, if these guys are going around shaking hands, like you said, it's something I mentioned before. You know, I've gone into wrestling locker rooms, and sometimes the first thing I do, that's why I'm interested with this show, because first thing I do is I look around on the indie side, you know, and I'm like, do I see money in anybody? And that's probably not fair, but because I'm just looking at it as, it's literally judging a book by its cover, right? Or even in schools, like, who got it? And then I've seen like promo classes. And it's always fun to watch because, and that's why I feel for these kids, because I'm like, man, y'all got to do this in front of these legends, and you also got to do it on TV. Where I've watched promo classes, and shout out to Blake, Blizz, where people are like, he's giving critiques. And I would sit there and I was like, some of these kids will blow you away. But it's like I said, like, so watching them, they're already kind of nervous. And for him to be like, oh, you got to earn the right to shake my hand. I'm sorry, but I've seen Bret Hart walk in indie locker rooms and not treat people like that. Right.
It's rare. And I honestly think that's why he's a judge. Because it's a reality show at the end of the day. So you need that entertainment factor. And the fact that we're that part as well. And you see how outraged we are about it. So, and it was on my notes. We were watching it and I was like, oh, this is exactly what I'm going to want to talk about. So, I mean, I guess I get it. I do hope that that's not, you know what it is? I want to, by the end of the season, to have changed my mind on Bully Ray. Like, I would love to have been like, okay, in the beginning, he was really...
You judging him.
Yeah. I want to be like, wow, he was actually really good coach. Like, he actually gave a lot.
Can you imagine? Obviously, we don't know. Can you imagine if he's got to be BJ's coach?
Wow.
And I want to say, so I got to say this because we talked about this, right? So there's the part, you know, and like I said, we're not going to give away the whole show. By this now, they done watched it. But there's the part where BJ goes into his promo and I'm feeling it. And I'm like, yes, you channeled it. Where he messed up, in my opinion, when Bully said, oh, you sound like you got a problem with me. You sound like you want to fight me. And then he kept in reality. Like, no.
He should, what I would have done if I was him is I would have flipped. I would have said, yes, it's real. And then talked about wanting to take it out in the ring. Like, make it into a match promo kind of thing. And then I think that would have impressed them, if anything else. Because again, like, he's young, he's stubborn. I think he's not familiar with wrestling. I think he was at the Performance Center for not that long. And he was peeved by that. And I would be too. I'm not going to lie to you. If I stuck my hand out and introduced myself to somebody, I don't give a fuck who they are, and they blatantly ignored me, I would be pissed too. And I would want to say something and get it out. And I could see that urge. But I don't think BJ understands like who you're facing right now, the legend that you're facing right now. Also, just the wrestling business is built on that kind of respect. So as ridiculous as it seems, like you kind of had to just kind of bite that, you know, and kind of eat that and be like, you know what, whatever. But I like that he was able to express himself, but he should have channeled that energy. But again, they're never going to forget him. He's going to be super memorable. And that's another thing that the wrestling business is all about. And it just shows you that. They also had the 4 people, I think, that either won the promo contest. I don't remember how they broke it down to the 2 pairs. It was 2 women and 2 guys, and they had them fight in a match in front of them, in front of the judges, the judges and the people at the performance center. And based on those matches is how the judges decided who would be able to pick their legend as a coach. And those matches were interesting too, because you just see how like new wrestlers like, you know, they play it up. But I gotta say, the women's match was way more exciting than the men's match. I think the women have way more charisma on this show. I cannot wait for everyone to watch and let me know what they
women was just think. Understanding camera angles. When she was like, and
that's the new part.
See, you know, I need to see the facial expression, the hairs in a way. And I'm like, you know, you could tell they've been working, they've been studying. You know, it's the thing of working twice as hard to get half. You saw it there. And, you know, the men's match wasn't as bad. I mean, we've been to some shows. We've seen some,
it was a decent match.
Yeah, but
it was a decent match.
You could see the Taker, Booker T, everybody was like, wow, it was blown away.
Very, very much blown away. But I think this show is going to be very good. I think it's going to show a lot of what's been happening in developmental that we haven't been familiar with. Because like you talked about Tough Enough, we've seen other shows. We've seen documentaries about, you know, Bianca coming up and stuff like that. But I think this is where we're going to really see what's being done down there, which I think is very, very exciting. And it's also a way to tap into new audiences that just genuinely love competition reality shows, no matter what it is. Like my mom will watch a competition show. It does not matter what they're competing for. Like whether it's, you know, singing, the Masked Singer, all the way down to shit. She'll probably watch LFG if I tell her to. So then you're also bringing people into there. Also the young people that are watching that are going to be like, oh my God, this is what it takes. Like, oh, this is something I can strive for. Now it's not like, oh my God, you got to find that person to get you into the back way of wrestling. Like now it's like, okay, there's a school. There's a legit school. Like, let me learn more. University. What?
Remember Charlamagne said that when
Mercedes there's wrestling schools? Yes, dummy. There's wrestling schools. But I am very excited for this new show.
Me too.
I love that Mickie James is a part of it. I love that we get to see all of the new future talents of WWE.
I'm glad you said Mickie James. I'm glad that they always find a way for her, because Mickie James deserves so much flowers. We know Michelle McCool, not turns to a wrestling show, but just real quick, we know Michelle McCool's getting ready to go into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
And I remember recently she stated like not really feeling comfortable with the whole Piggy James storyline, you know, and I think Mickie in WWE's eyes never got out of that and the Trish Stratus bubble. So it's like, even when she came back, it was like, okay, we're going to throw you with Alexa Bliss, you know. It's like, no, Mickie deserves to be on that Mount Rushmore.
Absolutely.
And now in this role, you know, we get to see, because a lot of women you talk to, I know like one of the first times I met Kiara Hogan, that was the first person she met, Mickie James, and being able to get in a rivalry with her. Shout out to Amber Rodriguez, you know, she told me like, you know, being able to be in that story with Mickie where she went into, where she had Mickie send her to her first retirement. So Mickie is such an icon, and a lot of women who aspire to wrestle love her. And that is why she's the perfect person for somebody who's new to the business, or somebody who's one like those ladies we mentioned is a fan and they want to learn. So I'm very excited for this show. A couple other shows they have we could touch on real quick before we get out of here. The Best of the 90s. We talked about the new audiences, and I've been very happy about with the Netflix deal. And to me, it's been so much fun. I'm like, even us going to shows this last weekend in DC, seeing people comment, oh man, I was there. Oh yeah, or I see this. And, you seeing like Jey Uso he's one of those people that captivated new fans. And, but what it is you imagine like when you first get into something, you want to do the history, like you talked about, like you've done this with the WNBA. That's what the Raw best episode of the 90s, they giving you all the moments. Now, for those who didn't watch, you know what? Let's put it out there for people who didn't watch or whatever, because we be honest, we skimmed through it. Do you remember the number one moment, or what? Do you agree with the number one moment? What would have been your number one moment? I know that was like
I don't remember the number one moment so the countdown show I think on A&E is for the casual fans because we've seen those lists, whether it was on YouTube or whatever.
Remember, this is the 90s.
Raw moment of the 90s.
93 to 99.
Mike Tyson and Stone Cold?
No.
What was it?
You close with one person.
Stone Cold.
Yeah. What's the moment that everybody talks about? It's probably kind of like to us, like, oh yeah, the beer truck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was huge.
It was huge, right? But I think because it never gave me chills.
It just, to me, seemed like just another thing that Stone Cold was doing, like a wild thing he was doing at the time. Was it super memorable? 100%.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it was number one. A lot of things on that list was kind of like, yeah, of course you're gonna put that on there.
Number two gives me chills. That's Mankind winning the championship.
Yeah, see, I thought that was gonna be my next guess
because I probably would have said
because Stone Cold was also heavily involved in that as well.
Again, chill moment, right?
Biggest pop of life.
Like, I was asked you, but you being a Stone Cold fan, because another one of your favorite moments is on the list at number 4. That's him rescuing Stephanie McMahon. Which moment or which time did the glass break give you the most chills? If you had to go off the top of your head. And I'd be interested to know the audience.
Off the top of my head, probably that one.
Okay.
In addition to Mankind, him helping Mankind win the championship.
Okay.
See, I could go on and on about it, but the thing about the glass shattering that I've learned why it's so significant for me is because there were times where Stone Cold was not on TV. Yeah. Like there will be weeks sometimes where he just was not, but he was always the topic of conversation. Like on commentary, he was always talked about constantly. And it's just like, and I remember as a kid just being like, okay, well, when are we going to see him? We're going to see him. And then the glass would break it up. And I'm like, oh my God, he's here! So that's why for me, it's still just like a, oh my God thing. So it's hard to nail it down to one moment, but I would have to say him rescuing Stephanie just because of my young self and my sister and I living in kayfabe and being so worried about Stephanie. Like, oh my God. And then he rescued her. So.
All right. I got to ask you this question because like you said, you talked about not being on TV. So I'm going to just ask you current product question right now. When Roman's music, when the beat drop, does that give the same chill?
No, nothing will ever give that same chill. No.
All right, well, because like you talked about like that moment of like they not on TV, right? And I always think back, I don't think I would get the same chills from anything just because we're older and it's a difference.
Also, we're so exposed to everything.
Yeah, but I think for me with like a Roman Reigns, there's two moments that stick out that would be today's version of those two moments. That's when Jey Uso and Sami Zayn was arguing, and then Roman music hit.
They was scared. Everybody was scared. They was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, and then when we was at SummerSlam, and Solo was he was about to win, and then boom, the music hit, and it's like. Because we didn't. But we didn't. But like you said, we so exposed. But yeah, that Austin saving McFoley You know, and granted, the beer truck had the moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's just he was driving up with a beer truck.
Very memorable moment. I mean, it's hard to even nail it down to 10 moments for Raw in the 90s, but I love the themes of these countdowns, and I'm glad that we get to relive some of these moments, and then the new fans can come in and be like, oh my God, I remember that.
I am glad they put one of the moment you always talk about. And to me, I think because it's like one of those reminders of how like our lives was like this, like we didn't know each other, but then it's like, dang, like there's so much in a common denominator. But when you talk about like the 1, 2, 3 kid, and I'm glad that moment's on there because of the fact, like when you think of old school Raw, that's like the best moment of Manhattan.
It really is him beating Razor Ramon. Yeah, same. I remember it a lot, but I just remember my dad to this day still not liking X-Pac because of that, because he was a big Razor Ramon fan, and he's old school. Like, how dare this he would call him a little twerp, little squirt, whatever, beat Razor Ramon that way, like on some
I thought she got it mixed up because I went to get water.
But see, and that's what I love too, because I feel like gimmicks. I don't know if we call it a gimmick, but we've seen that type of thing upset happen so many times now that it don't feel the same. But back then, it really was unbelievable that the 1, 2, 3 kid beat Razor Ramon. Like, and it was really like, wait.
Today's world, we know too much because of the independence. So we know if we see someone come up, we're gonna know, oh. Yeah, well, if they win, it's not as much of a shock. But that's what I was excited about. Definitely check out the list. Like I said, I mean, we could go on and on. There's no point in reviewing the list because, like you said, y'all can catch that on our wrestling show content or our different takes. But they also did, before we get out of here, the rivals of Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Again, perfect for new wrestling fans because majority of people who are returning left when Austin left or around a little bit after, you know what I mean? So they're going to remember these two names and they get to go back to the nostalgia, go back to relive their rivalry, which I always believe was underrated.
I think so too. I was going to say that everyone thinks of Undertaker feuds and then they think of Stone Cold feuds, but they never remember that they actually feuded in the Attitude Era as well. So I'm glad we get to see the in-depth of that, because even I feel like I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have appreciated it before. I was always like, Stone Cold The Rock, Stone Cold The Rock, Stone Cold The Rock. But Stone Cold did have a lengthy feud with The Undertaker. So I'm glad that they did this episode. I'm glad that Rivals is getting into some of those other feuds. Not the, they got the main ones out the way, but I like that they're going into the ones that are underrated, that are not talked about a lot. So if you enjoyed that feud back in the day, you're going to enjoy this Rivals episode. And if you remember it or not remember it, I think it's also worth a good watch.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, we'll be doing some reviews. We'll really do the reviews of LFG, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the fun part. Like I said,
I'm very excited for that.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. But it's kind of like, like, oh yeah, remember this? But LFG is going to be really fun to really follow and really get favorites, I'm excited about it. I'm happy Booker T's there. He's kind of been on with a lot of stuff, but I think out of all of them, because he has the school, he's probably seen the most variety.
I agree.
And
and I like constructive criticism. I think he's going to be that balance with the other judges. Because like you say, he has a school. He's also seen his students reach great heights as well.
Shout out to Roxanne
so
Perez.
He can really talk to all of that. Yeah, so I'm excited to watch the show and watch the future WWE. And then we get Sunday full of A&E content. I love it.
That's the thing. Like, just being able to see that. And like I said, I'm excited about just the returning wrestling fans. I know that sounds crazy, but I think because they're not so toxic. They're not trying to book the show. No. They just ready to
They just want to enjoy it. Yes.
Yeah. So like, and it's funny. It's nice. They trying to understand it. But before we get out of here, let's let the people know. Just give them a temperature check. Let them know they can catch our trending topics episode. We had to talk about Kendrick Lamar. So if y'all haven't checked that out, make sure y'all check that out. More importantly, we talked about Beyonce, and Queen PR is happy about Jay-Z. And make sure you also check out our other content, including when we play Never Have I Ever.
Yes.
So that's fun. I think y'all enjoy that if y'all enjoy content from us. But anything else? Let people know what you got going on.
Yeah. So Those Wrestling Girls podcast, new episodes every week, brought to you by Revolt Podcast Network. And then you can catch me Monday nights on Those Wrestling Girls YouTube channel, talking wrestling and pop culture news. And make sure you follow me at Queen3_PR on all social media platforms, and every week here on 6HF Production.
They also get spotted on their its own podcast platform.
Yes, you can listen to Spotted now.
So make sure y'all check that out. Check me out on Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. It'll be back right here on 6HM. So make sure y'all check that out. I talk some of the craziest sports stories. But also make sure you catch the Ring of Wrestling Worldwide we're going to be on Wednesdays this week just because of the holiday, and it's also Wellness Week, but people need their pods, man. So we're going to do that. Make sure you check out the Wrestling Around Now podcast, myself, Brian H. Waters, also with the real Dwayne Allen and Brother Guy. Brother Hugh will be out this week. That's probably a 6HM exclusive. Wow.
No, just kidding.
But until the next time, folks, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And we will see you next week.
Bye.